What kind of prison were you in?
I was in like, I did 12 years in medium highs and I did 9 years in lows.
Okay.
So, you know, basically in the feds, the medium highs, they call them gladiator schools. You know, a lot of fights. You know, in the I was there in the penitentiaries. The penitentiaries, that's like the highs. That's where they say like boys.
State penitentiaries?
Well, it's a federal penitentiary.
Oh, federal penitentiaries.
Yeah. But what they say in the federal penitentiaries, like they say boys fight, men kill. You know, like you don't fight. Like if you got a beef, like you go stab the motherfucker 60 times. You know what I'm saying? So that's what that means. Like boys fight, men kill. I was in what they call the gladiator schools, the medium highs, where like, you know, basically you got to fight. Like if you don't fight, you know, then whatever, you know, you can be fucking starting out, somebody taking your commissary and end up getting raped. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just how it is, you know. And then I did my last 9 years in the lows. And the lows, I mean, it's pretty tame, you know what I'm saying? I mean, shit happens, but...
A lot of white-collar criminals in there?
White-collar crime is more like in the camps. That's like the minimum. I could never go to the camps. I was always behind a fence because I was a top 15 fugitive, you know, so I could never go out to the camp. You know, I would never get minimum security. But, you know, the lows, you got like the people that fuck up at the camps. So it's a lot of minimum security dudes, you know, that fucked up. And you got you even got dudes that started the penitentiaries, but they're, you know, they did 20 years there at the end of their bid. They don't want no problem. And then you got a lot of dudes, you know, that are just short timers. You know, they're coming in, they got like 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
You know? A lot of informants, you know, there. But, you know, it's funny in prison, because even like when you're at a low and you know there's a lot of informants, like everybody's like, oh, no, I didn't snitch. He's a snitch. I'm not a snitch. It's like crazy, dude. It's like, you know, because nobody wants to wear that in there. You know, nobody's going to wear that shit.
Right.
You know, I found out, like, all the time that I did, it basically came down to it. Like, usually the person that was trying to say who was the snitches, like, usually you had to, like, look at them.
Right.
Because, like, why? Like, they're deflecting.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, why are you pointing out? You know, some of the dudes like that, they're just crazy and hate snitches. You know, but, you know, a lot of times, you know, I mean, but that's maybe like 1 out of 10, you know, like the other 9 times out of 10, it's usually somebody deflecting.
Yeah, it's a crazy subject that always gets brought up when you go to prison or you get caught with, you know, with a big crime. Is like the first thing you think of is, you know, you get offered a plea deal. Are you going to snitch? Are you not going to snitch? And that's like the number one question people ask you when you're locked up. Like they ask you about your crime. They try to like poke and prod little questions, figure out more about your story. Is he a snitch? Is he not a snitch?
When I came in, you got to show paperwork. So when I came in 93, I went to FCI Manchester. It's a medium high in Kentucky, right? I got 25 fucking years, and this is like 93. So when I came in, you know, a lot of the people are still under the old laws from the 80s. So I come in with 25, and I'm like this little kid. I look like a college kid, right? I'm like fucking, you know, 22 years old, man. I weigh maybe like 185. You know what I'm saying? And fucking clean cut, everything. Looked like I should be in college. And the dudes are like all the cons, you know, they're looking at me. They're like, who the fuck did you kill? How did you get 25 years? You know, because still, they just started those laws like in 89. So, you know, a lot of the dudes aren't used to people. You know, like for my crime, what I did, like in the 80s, it might have been like, you know, maybe 10 years maximum, and it was parolable, you know. But then after 89, when they made the new laws, you know, mandatory minimums, the sentencing guidelines, you had to do 85% of your time. So there was like no parole. So, you know, like on 25, I had to do basically, you know, almost 23. The only reason I got in 21 is because I took this drug program for 10 months, a 500-hour therapeutic drug program, and I got a year off my sentence. You know, right at the end. But yeah, dude, when I went in back then, it's like they call it a paperwork party. Like you go in, like wherever you're from, like your homeboys come to you, like the other white people. You know, everything's ethic and race, and they're race based. You know, you don't got like black dudes coming to you asking to see your paperwork. You know, your own people, white people come to you. You got to show your paperwork. You got to show that you're not a snitch. You got to show that you're not a chomo, you know, child molester. And you got to show that you're not a rapist. Because if you're any of those fucking things, it's like your own people, your own homeboys. They're going to check you in, dude. They're either going to beat the fuck out of you and leave you there, or they're going to tell you, you're going to be like, look, you need to roll up, dude. You got to check in the hole. You ain't walking on this compound. You know, and that's how shit goes. You know what I'm saying? So That's
what would happen if you're like, yeah, I was a snitch. I fucking ratted out this guy. I cut all their throats, and I saved 25 years of my life. Now what?
They're gonna fucking beat the fuck out of you right there. They're gonna check you in, dude. They're gonna roll you up. You're not gonna walk on that compound. Fuck no. You know. But look, I've seen a few cases where there's been like some fucking tough snitch motherfuckers. But you know, in the end, they always lose. There was I was in Beckley, West Virginia. Right, it was a medium high. Second joint I was at, and it was it was a pretty rough and tumble joint, man. You know, it was like they were always hitting the deuces. Like when I say they hit the deuces, that's like if there's a fight or disturbance, like, you know, the cop hits the body alarm and like all the cops go running, you know, like the cavalry, you know, to quell the disturbance. So that's what hit the deuces means. So, I mean, they were hitting the deuces like all the fucking time. Like, you always see the cops running. So it's a fight here, you know, whatever. Sometimes multiple fights at the same time. So there's this one dude, I don't know his name, big dude, country boy, had like a cocaine case. He was a West Virginia country boy, right? So he's on the fucking compound. Dudes know he's hot. Right, so fucking the like some of the West Virginia dudes, you know, they say, "Oh, this motherfucker's hot." Like they show the newspaper articles about him, whatever. And
what does that mean? He's hot?
Like he's a snitch. He's hot.
Oh,
yeah, he's hot. So they try to check him in. He said, "I ain't checking in." He beats the fuck out of him. The snitch beats the fuck out of the dude. So like they get beat up. They're in the hole. You know what I'm saying? They're in the hole because they got the shit beat out of them. Because what happens like there, like let's say me or you get in a fight. And I beat the fuck out of you, and you're all marked up. So the cops, when they see you're marked up, they're going to lock you up, basically for your protection. Right. And if you don't say what happened, like you'll say some shit. Like if you're a stand-up con, you'll be like, "Oh, I slipped and fell in the shower," or some shit.
Right.
But they put you in the hole because they're investigating. They want to know what happened. You know. So this snitch, he beats these fucking dudes up. You know, who supposedly like the shot callers for the West Virginia car. You know, who. Whatever, they weren't that tough. They couldn't even check their own snitch out of the yard. So he beats them up. They go to the hole, but, you know, they don't say nothing, whatever. So this dude's, like, still in the yard. So, you know, the authorities don't know what's going on, but, like, all the white boys know what's going on, right? So then like, some other white boys on the yard, like, they go to the rest of the West Virginia dudes, and they're like, "What the fuck, man?" They're like, "Clean your fucking car, dude. This is your responsibility. You need to get this motherfucker off the yard." So then, like, some more West Virginia dudes go, or they can't do it, or whatever. So then, like, this, like, was going on, dude, for, like, fucking about 3 weeks. You know, and this dude was like, "Fuck you." Like, anybody came at him, he beat the fuck out of him. Like, he was a tough motherfucker, but he was a snitch. So, eventually, the fucking California dudes, usually, like, in prison for the white boys, usually the California dudes are, like, the toughest dudes. It goes with the Spanish, too. Usually, like they call them the Serranos, the Mexican dudes, like they're under the Mexican mafia. They're usually like the fucking most thorough, and usually the California, the Mexicans, and the whites fucking ally.
Really?
So,
the Mexicans are the toughest?
Yeah, they're the most vicious.
Why is that?
Because if, like, they got a saying in there, like, if you got a beef with one Mexican, then you got to fight all of them. That's how.
And it's not like that with any of the other races?
It can be, but, you know, not a lot sometimes, you know, because sometimes it's like, you know, it's supposed to be everything is like unified, like, okay, we're white, we stand together. But a lot of times, you know, like, I'll have a beef and you'll be like, "Man, fuck him, I don't fuck with him." Or "Fuck him, he's a piece of shit." You know, or he's like a fucking junkie shit, or maybe he fucking owes me money for some heroin, so fuck him. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's like shit like that comes into play. So eventually, with this fucking West Virginia fucking tough guy fucking snitch, the fucking California dudes fucking cornered him out on the fucking yard with weapons and fucking beat the fuck out of him. And, you know, but it was like a 3-week process. So this dude was basically on the yard for 3 weeks. Wow. You know, basically, like you said, "Yeah, I'm a fucking snitch, fuck you."